Right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Christian Pendleton. I work for Softhouse, a consultant company down in Malmö. We also have offices in Karlskrona and Stockholm and Gothenburg. And with me I also have Michael, a colleague in Softhouse Malmö as well. I have a history in configuration management, while Michael have been working more with technical project management and program management. And we have been approaching the area of continuous integration and continuous delivery from these different paths. But we both came with the goal of supporting the development organization, trying to create a better flow, a better delivery flow, and trying to help the customers. Now at Softhouse, we have been working with agile methods for quite a while now, and we've been quite successful in implementing Scrum, Kanban, extreme programming with our customers. One of the major focus areas in agile methods is, as most of you sure know, is to deliver value to the customer as early as possible and try to do it continuously over time as well, and get feedback from customers. And as Jan Bosch said this morning, customers don't really know what they want until you show it to them. So we want to deliver as early as possible and try to get feedback soon, quick. In these agile transformations, when you're switching to this way of working, we see a lot of obstacles, and one of the major one is when your infrastructure just doesn't support your way of working. And one of these major infrastructure things is the continuous delivery, and we see it as we try to create the lean infrastructure. We're trying to make the delivery path as lean and smooth as possible, trying to reduce waste all the way through the cycle. And what will happen otherwise is that we will end up in the thing that Lars Kruse talked about before with water agile or agile fall. So that we just don't get all the benefits that we could from this great way of working. Now, when we look at the continuous delivery flow, it's quite easy when you're one developer or maybe 2 or 3 developers, really small team. It's not that hard. Usually, you get some kind of routine working, probably manually at first. But there is still value of automizing the flow for this simple guy. And Marcus told us just before now about handling databases and the importance of doing it in a structured way. And it's really the same with the delivery flow for one developer or just a minor set. But the real effect kicks in when you add more teams, more developers, more deliverables here, and the complexity increases. And it increases fast. And all of a sudden, we need to support this, all of these developers in a quite complex flow here. Probably need some kind of team supporting this environment, all these tools, doing all the packaging, handling the test environment, making sure that everything is working, and try to make this, support this way of working and make it the lean infrastructure that we want. We also need to support the organization with getting deliveries out to our customers and perhaps also deploying the products in the customer environments. For me as a CM, one of my main targets is trying to make this whole circus flow as smooth as possible, or as the CM team at Sony said, grease the wheels in the organization. And we can also here see that the delivery model or the integration model here needs to scale. And Jan was talking about that before as well, when he talked about scale for the big bang adoption of your product. that products nowadays, they don't do the slow increase in users, and suddenly it just go boom, and you have 1 million users. So we need to be prepared in this, and need to make sure that our systems can scale, and our processes as well. And this also includes, of course, the test frameworks and all that you're used for your automized testing. If we take a step back and look at this from an agile coach perspective instead, one of our other colleagues at Softhouse that do these agile transformation projects, we can see that this actually boosts the way of working we want in several ways. We have the fast feedback loops. First from the automized testing, you get fast feedback to developers, but then also from the continuous deliveries to our customers, and we can get feedback much earlier and much faster. We also have transparency, and this is a major area in configuration management that changes rapidly when you go into agile methods, that the status accounting and the transparency need to increase. You need to enhance the transparency between the teams so that different development teams in the organization knows what's going on in the other parts. Also, since our customer now can follow the evolution of the product, we can get feedback and prioritize new functionality and what they think we should focus on. And finally, the stairway to heaven that John talked about this morning is really, we take another step here in the maturity of how we handle products and our customers. So, yeah, the infrastructure, it will help our agile coaches and our agile way of working. And I think Michael now will talk about, or he will share experiences from an agile transformation that was done at one of our customers down in Lund. And you can keep in mind then that this organization was just after an agile transformation was made there, so they were really in this stairway to heaven. So take it away.
This is the most tricky part of this presentation.
I think so.
So, it's working, good. Continuous delivery in a large project, as Christian said, we just moved to Agile. We had this like 100 Agile teams working, but we still had problems. So the story of my life is that they have a problem in a project, it's not performing as it's supposed to do, then they call me and say, okay, we have to move faster and we have to help out to fix problems and blah, blah, blah. So here we had just developed a new chipset for the first Android phones. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. We had this big Korean customer named Samsung that wanted to buy a chipset, make lots of phones. Problem, the software is not ready. It's moving too slow. We've introduced Agile, everybody's Agile, but we still have problems. It goes too slow. Just to give a small overview of what we're talking about, we had this new nice chipset supporting Android with several CPUs running Linux, multimedia DSPs for fast multimedia, a new graphics GPU with high graphics performance, power management CPUs, a bunch of CPUs for the 2D, 3D, 4D network OSC operating system. We have developed new chips for wireless LAN, GPS, and Bluetooth with a bunch of firmware and stuff. So we had 1,000 developers in 100 teams all over the world, Europe, China, South Korea, US, producing like hundreds of patches every day. 10 gigabytes of source code and like 100,000 files. And to make stuff even more problematic, there was a bunch of software licenses in the mix. We had open source in Linux, we had proprietary code in the modem, and we had Android licenses. And we could not mix this stuff because then we get into legal problems. But the managers, just introducing Agile, was thinking, this is dangerous. We have to make this best ever qualification process or quality security process before delivering the stuff to the customer. So, looking into this, we had all these developers to the left, and this is Scrumfall stuff, more or less. There were so many integration teams spending 1 week of testing and integrating locally. A main integration team spending 1 week putting everything together. And then the customization and testing the customer configuration. A very big process. Looking good, maybe. Observations, though, is it was really lots of people involved. Long lead times. Just thinking about the customer having a problem, or many problems actually, putting it to the developers. 3 weeks later, best case, he gets something solved and something's not solved maybe. Another issue is obviously that the new main branch is tagged here 2 weeks after the code is submitted. So everybody is working with 2-week-old code from everybody else. And the rest is in the queue, this huge queue of stuff going in on the way to integration. So we worked out, okay, we have to modify, we have to change. We checked with the developers. Their life was very complicated. I mean, they sent something to integration. There was forms to fill in, papers to sign, all kinds of things to allow you to deliver, to make sure everything is working. And then 2 to 4 weeks, normally what happened is you get the code back from the integration guy saying it's not working. Please fix. And everything, they had to wait for, if somebody in China should do something that I need here. Okay, I call the guy in China. Okay, my stuff is ready, it's in the queue. Okay. But then it took 2 weeks, best case, until the queue was empty and the stuff was actually there, so I could use it. Long wait times. The delivery team, they had huge problems. Quality was always bad, was their statement. The developers are delivering crap, nothing is working. Even though we test everything, nothing is working. And all the error reports, they are never solved. It takes a very long time until they are solved. And obviously all the solutions are in the queue. And the program managers spend hours in daily meetings figuring out what is working, what is not working, what should we put in, what should we reject, and so on. The good thing was that we had investments done in good tools. We had Git Gerrit with 100 build servers, being able to build lots of stuff at all time. But it was not really used fully because there were parallel management systems that you manually had to put in the deliveries in that was not really in sync with the Git Gerrit. So you never really knew what was in the code or what was not in the code. We had a huge test automation system where you could put in like 200 phones, running test case in parallel. That was very good, very good. Problem was that when you run a test case, 30% of the time, the test environment didn't work. It was as crappy as the code. So every time you launch a test, something broke, either because the code was not working or the test environment was not working. So we went to our managers and said, okay, we need to do a slight modification of the process. So we proposed like this. Remove lots of stuff. We wanted the integration team to every day take the latest from every developer and put a new tag. As simple as that. And obviously, we were not received very well. They said, you cannot do this. We invested like months and months to create this very good qualification process, so you cannot do this. But we were lucky. There was a huge reorganization announced. And there is nothing that consumes managers as much as reorganization is the best thing, because then all the managers put all their energy into that. Who is going to manage what? So that's good. But so then you get that problem out of the way a little bit. And we had a very brave manager. He's actually sitting down there, Stefan, late December night. we were sitting discussing, this doesn't work. We have to fix it. And so we just decided, let's fix it, let's try it. So we gave some very simple instructions. We wanted to tag every day with the latest from everybody. We wanted to figure out the failures and send them back to the developers. We wanted to know every day what is working, what's not working. And then we told everybody that issues in the integration delivery flow has to come before everything else. First, when you have put people on all these issues, you're allowed to work with some other stuff. We have to fix this. So, with a very big self-confidence, we said, okay, I've never tried this, so I'm certain I will make it. With that kind of approach, over Christmas, we started to go to work. And what happened was that after 2-3 days, we could set the first tag with the latest from everybody. And after 2 weeks, the teams could set like a tag every day. It was still not better than before, but it was about the same quality as before. But now we could really get to work here, because now we had a tag every day, and this is days. And we could visualize, we tracked the test environment, the different organizations, what is the pass rate of your stuff? And we put this prior 1 ERs on all over the organization, tracked every day. And the thing is, they delivered in the evening, in the morning after, it's in the tag. And you can directly see the result the day after. And surprisingly, in 2 weeks' time, this window here is as long as the previous process was just one delivery, so to say. Every day we got deliveries improving the quality. In just 2 weeks' time, we had like a 60% pass rate. We moved to 90% pass rate, but just shrinking and making the loops faster, having the latest from everybody. And some in the organization, like the testers, they were a bit fed up with the developers. They're always delivering crap. But now they started to see and understand that, okay, they are not so evil. Actually, the stuff they're making are actually quite good. And they're working quite hard, and we are improving. Now, the step from 90% to 100% was a bit harder. But this was really the first learning that testing much shorter time, shorter loops, actually improves the quality during these long feedback loops, where you have to wait a long time until you get feedback. You can correct stuff many times during 2 weeks and improve a lot in 2 weeks. I stole Christian's picture with a developer there. So we continued to working with the developer situation. Now we had a completely flat organization, 1,000 developers delivering directly into main branch. So we had to make sure the developers had a very good service when delivering to the branch. So we had the Git Gerrit stuff to work on. And we integrated this automated test system. So every developer putting something into Gerrit could launch an automated test. Half an hour later, he gets the result back. Okay, it's good or not good. With a subset of the tests targeted for his functionality. Gerrit checked, we had static code checks and license checks that they're not mixing up Apache and proprietary and GPL licenses and stuff, and code review. So in 1 hour, the developer put up his patch. He got all this feedback, reviewed, checks, tests, everything he could see. And now suddenly, before, the developers did not want to deliver. It was a big hurdle. And it was a big process and lots of forms and stuff. And normally what happened is you get back, oh, your stuff is not working. But now suddenly, okay, I can put up a small patch, I can test it, I get the feedback, oh, it's good feedback, it's valuable for me, I can see my stuff is working. And suddenly it promoted that developers started to deliver much more frequently. Small deliveries, small risks. Small risks of breaking stuff. On the delivery teams, we put the target that every test had to work 1,000 iterations. The test environment has to be really robust. So we run through all the tests and make sure to smoke out every problem so the test environment is really stable. We had a fairly big test suite launched every 2 hours with the stuff that had come in during those hours. And the team was able to identify probably 99% of the patches that broke the tests before they were tagged. They can more or less, in this system, identify, okay, this code is broken, send it back, and securing the main branch. After a few months, we were 99% pass rate, repeatable every day, which was a revelation, I would say. It's the best I've seen in such a large project, actually. After a while, we became a bit more advanced. Lars talked about this branching war. I've not been in that war, but what we did was that we have some really tricky tests you have to pass just before launching a phone. Like AT&T, they have this test that you have to work for 1,000 hours in a straight with a mixture of use cases and so on. And what we figured out is that if people continuously integrate large patches with lots of stuff every day, you cannot test a 1,000-hour test case in one day. And when you deliver new features for next generation products or next version of products, you pretty much change a lot of code and you have a high risk of breaking something that you will not discover in this one-day loop. So we had to split. 2 months before launch of a new phone, we did a release branch where we said, okay, no new features here, we just fix stuff. And that actually worked. With smaller corrections, managing the risks, you can make sure every day that this 1,000-hour test is actually working. There was still a small risk that you broke something, but overall it worked very well. And then next generation products on the main branch, the development branch. So the key learnings I take away from this: lead times kills quality. Even if you think you have devised the best test ever, if they take weeks to run for every tag, it will break the quality because the code in the queue is not compatible with all other code in the queue. You have just too much stuff in the queue that's not worth tested together. It is too long time, and the quality suffers really a lot having these long queues. When you do shorten the queues a lot, automation is really, really good because you have to run the test cases over and over and over and over every day to make sure everything is working. And we had an excellent automation system running hundreds and hundreds of tests in parallel all the time. Excellent investment, or almost a prerequisite to really get good, fast working every day. This is probably the biggest investment you need to do going continuous delivery is the test automation. It just has to work. The short loops, the developers, also improve the quality because you can fix things fast. The critical problems can be integrated, improving the quality every day. Visualizing the status, tracking all the different concerned parts, including the test environment, gives you a great tool every day to see what's good, what's bad, how to improve. Never break the main. You end up in the problems before. Program management have nothing to deliver, it's not working. The delivery and test teams, they cannot work if there is blocking issues, they cannot test. And the developers are confused. It's high quality main branch is really valuable. Some words of wisdom, changing stuff. Stay away from negative people. They always have a problem for every solution. It's much better to have to stay positive. So we ended up a very happy customer. We actually, in the final stages, we can resolve 85% of the errors within 1 day, delivering the solution to the customer in this huge organization. And I don't know if you know Koreans, but you go to Korea, you get bashed every day, you're working too slow, you're lazy, you're not fixing the stuff, and blah, blah, blah. But once in a lifetime, they come back and say, you did a good job. This was one of those times. And we actually set a new record time for this project. I think this was 2012, right? Something like that. Samsung had never made an Android phone faster than this. So they were a good job. So the latest phone we did, Samsung Galaxy Note 4. You can buy in a local store. Also, an article about these experiences in the Softhouse booth. Thanks.
Any questions? Do you attribute that massive improvement in a very short time 90% to just the code, the developers having the proper code at the right time whenever they're doing changes? Can it be that drastic? Are there other factors, I guess, I'm looking at?
I think the problem was that people were correcting stuff all the time. But since you have 2 weeks of work in the queue all the time, there is always, every time you set a new tag, there's a huge amount of code in that tag, since they only set a tag every week. So every time they set a tag, they get a new large bunch of problems. And then they had to wait 2 weeks until that correction came in. So it's just, you have these enormous problems in the queue that you have not really fed back any information to developers yet. I think that is the main problem why you never improved. But I have not investigated it in detail, so I don't know, but it's the feeling I have. Yeah?
It's not really a question, it's more like an observation. I come from university,
yeah.
And this drastic improvement, I mean, you can sort of compare it with a 5-year-old kid running around in the kitchen and his mother saying, don't touch the pan because it's hot and you're going to burn your fingers.
Mm.
If he touches the pan and after 2 weeks his fingers will start to burn, what is the chance that he will learn from that?
Mm. Sure.
If you can short the feedback
Yes.
by 32 milliseconds,
Yes.
what is your ability to learn?
Yeah.
And I bet that some of the drastic reduction that we have seen in speed up and disruption in the stage is that now your developers are able to learn because of the fast feedback they get.
Yes, they get immediate. Either they get 1 hour feedback or the day after they get from test, it's working. And also they have not changed task. Previously they waited 2 weeks and we're working something else for 2 weeks and now I get an error on the old stuff that I have even forgotten. So this fast feedback really helps the developers. Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately, what we do at university is that we get our students study for 15 weeks and then we do an exam and do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Was it the Galaxy 3?
That was
This